Good day. There are two things that we're going to deal with today. We are going to deal with negative angles. An example of what we're going to deal with is sine negative x minus 180. We're also going to deal with angles that are bigger than 360. An example of what we're going to deal with is cos 720 minus x. If you want to deal with angles like 90 and 270, for instance, something like cos negative 270 plus x, the video is at the end of this video. The video is also found right here on the top right of the screen at the suggested video. So, first of all, I'm going to deal with angles bigger than 360. Then I'm going to deal with negative angles. Let's begin. Alright, here is the first example. So, you are given a situation sine 540 minus x. What do you do in this situation? Well, it's very simple. All you have to do is to subtract 360 until you have got something familiar. It has to be familiar to one of these stuff that you have learned, one of these stuff that you have been told to memorize. How that in quadrant 1 is x, in quadrant 2 is 180 minus x, in quadrant 3 is 180 plus x, in quadrant 4 is 360 minus x. So it has to be familiar to one of these stuff. So if it's not familiar to one of those stuff that you have memorized, we have to subtract 360 until it's familiar. For instance, when we subtract 360 from 540, we'll end up having 180. So the answer will be 180. So if we put 180 in place of 540, we'll end up having sine 180 minus x, which is indeed familiar to what we have memorized. So therefore we can proceed from here. Sine 180 minus x, we know it's just going to be positive sine x. And there we have it. Let's go to another example. Alright, here is another example. So in this particular case, we've got cos 900 plus x. So we've got an angle that is bigger than 360. Every time we've got an angle that is bigger than 360, we just have to minus 360 until we get something that is familiar. So if we minus 360 from 900, so let's say we minus 360 from 900, we're going to have 540. And it's still bigger than 360. So what we do from here, we have to minus 360 again. We're gonna get 180. So if we substitute 180 in place of 900, we'll end up having cos 180 plus x. So we know that 180 plus x is in the third quadrant, and in the third quadrant, cos is negative. And there we have it. We have solved the situation. So, next we're going to deal with negative angles. Just before I continue, if you want to be tutored, whether it is online or physically, whether it is the situation where you're struggling in maths or whether it is the situation where you're good in maths but want perfection, take a screenshot or save these details. Whether you're studying Cambridge, which is the UK curriculum, or whether you're studying NSC, which is the South African curriculum, or IEB, or native courses which start from N1 to N6, or any curriculum you're doing no matter which country you're at, we offer tutorials. We've got lessons and practice sessions 5 days a week. We also give you tests once a week so that we can check your improvements. So we've got sine negative x minus 180. So what do we do in this case? Whenever we're dealing with negative angles, we just have to add 360 until we get something familiar. So what we're going to do here is that we're going to add 360. So in this case, if you say negative 180 plus 360, you will get positive 180. If you substitute that in place of negative 180, you'll end up having sine minus x plus 180. And this, you can rearrange it. This stuff, when you rearrange it, it's just going to become 180 minus x. Whenever you rearrange something, you have to take something together with its sign. For instance, if you've got something like a minus b, if you rearrange it, you have to take this together with its sign, so it's going to be minus b. And you have to take this together with its sign, which is the invisible positive, so it's just going to be plus a. So whenever you rearrange, just make sure you take something together with its sign. And therefore, you've got a familiar form to what you've memorized. So sine 180 minus x, we know that it's in the second quadrant, and sine is positive in the second quadrant, so therefore we've got sine x. Let's go for another example. So here is another example. We've got sine x minus 900. So whenever we've got a negative angle, we have to add 360 until we have something that is familiar. So the logic is that whenever you've got an angle that is bigger than 360, you have to subtract until you get what you're familiar with. Whenever you have a negative angle this time, you have to add 360 until you get what you're familiar with. So in this particular situation, we have to say negative 900 plus 360. That will give you negative 540. We're still not getting what we're familiar with. This is still bigger than negative 360. So then it's going to be negative 540 plus 360. This is going to give you negative 180. Well, we don't know negative 180. I mean, if we put it in place of negative 900, we'll have x minus 180. But we know 180 minus x. We don't know x minus 180. So we have to continue. So negative 180 plus 360. We're going to end up getting 180. So if we put 180 in place of negative 900, we're going to end up having x plus 180. And then when we just rearrange this stuff, so when we rearrange this stuff, we're going to end up having 180 plus x. And now we have got something that is familiar to what we've memorized. So from here, we know that 180 plus x is in the third quadrant, and in the third quadrant, sign is negative. Therefore, we have got the answer, negative sine x. Let's go to our final example. So here is the final example. So we've got sine negative x minus 810. So whenever we've got a negative angle, we know that we have to add 360 until we get what we're familiar with. So therefore it's going to be negative 810 plus 360. And negative 810 plus 360 is negative 450. We still don't have what we want. We want a positive number that is less or equals to 360. Therefore, we're going to say negative 450 plus 360. And this is going to give us negative 90. We still don't have what we want. So we're going to add 360. And this is going to give us 270. So therefore, we've got a positive number that is less or equals to 360. And when we put 270 in place of negative 810, we're going to have sine minus x plus 270. And when we rearrange this, we're going to have sine 270 minus x. And using the skills of 90 and 270, which came from another video, we already know that whenever we say 90 and 270, it's going to change. And sine 270 minus x is in the third quadrant, and in the third quadrant, we know that sine is negative. So therefore, whatever it changes to will be negative as well. So this is just going to end up being negative cos x. And there we have it. If you enjoyed this video, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Any questions you have or any video you want me to post, please comment below. And if the contacts that I've provided in the adverts are not working, please comment below.